Everyone, welcome to the March edition of Georgina's Book Reads. Today we're going to continue with Cursed and we'll carry on reading from chapter 2. Okay. It was rather strange at first, walking around the moors, because the only noise were those of the distant cars, animals and their own footsteps as they made their way along the track. Daisy was finding it unnerving. She kept having the paranoid feeling she was being followed. However, she loved the peace and quiet, even though it was taking some getting used to. None of them really knew what to say to each other, so they just walked in silence, enjoying the gorgeous countryside around them. Alice walked in front with Jake, whilst Tyler and Daisy walked a few steps behind. Maybe those stories were something they always tell tourists to give them a bit of a fright, and to make their stay a little more exciting. Surely none of them are real. The Beast of Dartmoor probably is, but the ghost of Lady Howard and the Phantom Pony? Really? They seemed a little far-fetched to me, Daisy thought to herself as she stopped to take pictures of the surroundings every now and then. How many photos are you going to take? Tyler sneered. Daisy shrugged, unsure where the sudden venom had come from. They all look the same, he commented. She smiled. Actually, they don't, as they're from different angles. Not that you'd understand anyway. He didn't look impressed. What's got on his nerves? Silence again. The area was beautiful, with a gorgeous azure sky with greens and browns everywhere they looked. It was something rare these days, with all the cities and the noise. Daisy was starting to enjoy the quietness of the countryside a little more than she had expected. They walked over the first bridge ever to have been built in Dartmoor, along the line at Maidenhead. Daisy couldn't resist, she just had to take a picture of it. They couldn't believe how sturdy and intact it still seemed to be. After all these years, it stood exactly how it had when it was first built, and Daisy found that fascinating. This sort of craftsmanship was something you don't see too often these days, and she was blown away by all the history behind just one small bridge. So what were you going to say to me this morning? Daisy asked as Tyler waited for Alice to finish her drink. He looked at her awkwardly. He stammered. She couldn't help but laugh and raised her eyebrows expectantly. He just smiled. It was nothing, he said as he shuffled from foot to foot. She frowned. It didn't seem like nothing, she probed, unable to hide her curiosity. He wasn't giving in. Don't worry about it. She shrugged, utterly disappointed. Why did I want to know so much? Daisy wondered. It wasn't like her to be so intrigued. Onwards they continued as they walked through vast expanses of moorland. It seemed to go on forever. They passed a second bridge, which they all took turns posing on for the traditional tourist pictures. Moving on, they reached King's Tor in no time. It wasn't as exciting as Daisy had first thought. It was just a hill with a plaque and nothing more. So, using the guide, they continued on to Foggin Tor Quarry. Daisy found this extremely interesting because there were lots of deep holes and ditches where the granite had been quarried away. She could just picture the workers heaving the heavy rock out. They carried on to Swell Quarry, where they saw some partially finished corbels for London Bridge, which were never collected. To Daisy, they just looked like large, bulky stones cut into specific shapes, which I guess they are really, she thought to herself, chuckling. As they left the Swell Quarry, they saw the old sleepers laying on the disused tram road and a platform for loading granite onto the trains. They were all amazed these had survived. It was absolutely marvellous, and Daisy snapped as many pictures as possible for her father. He was a keen historian, and she knew he would love to see them. She was astounded by all the hidden beauty and history Dartmoor seemed to offer. Thank you very much for listening. Please take a look at the links that will follow and contact me if you'd like to hear any more. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.